Y'all ready? Yeah. Let's go. Come on.
Tiger Rag Radio is on the air.
Let's crank this thing up.
We're statewide, breaking down the latest happenings with LSU athletics.
This is us.
Hear from the coaches.
Put together a defense that puts us in a position to win the SEC.
The players.
Having fun and we working, baby. That's it, man.
The recruits.
Show some passion and some heart.
And those who cover the Fighting Tigers of LSU and the SEC.
All those things are going to be there, which are important.
It's 2 hours of nonstop LSU talk.
What a privilege. I mean, you get to represent LSU.
Tiger Rag Radio is brought to you by Cummins. Cummins creates power solutions that the world depends on. Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Sunshine Quality Solutions. Super Chevy Dealers. And Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. Get ready to talk Tigers with producer Andre Champagne and our hosts Todd Horne, Jeff Palermo, and Glenn Guilbeau.
Three great players that are better people than they are players.
This is Tiger Rag Radio, live from Super Chevy Dealers Studio.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealers Studio. This is Jeff Palermo, News and Sports Director at Louisiana Radio Network, along with the Executive Editor for Tiger Rag Magazine, Todd Horne, and the editor, Glenn Guilbeau, and Andre Champagne, our producer, also a reporter for Tiger Rag and the Louisiana Radio Network. Well, what an interesting 3 days it's been in Louisiana since LSU fell to Vanderbilt by a touchdown, 31-24, in a game that feels like, even though they lost by 7 points, it almost feels like they lost by 70 points just because of how Vanderbilt dominated the game, especially their ability to just move up and down the field and the way they harassed Garrett Nussmeier throughout the entire game, and then just the fallout from it. You're talking about a 5-2 team, but the tide has turned here for Coach Brian Kelly. This is a spot in his time at LSU. It's, as he brought it up there, he said the angst. There has not been this much angst against Coach Brian Kelly, as this team does not appear like a college football playoff team, and it's a team that could easily only win just 7 games in the regular season, especially if they're not able to beat Texas A&M, Alabama, or Oklahoma. Guys, your thoughts on where the Tigers are at? And I know the last time LSU lost to Ole Miss, Todd, you were angry. Are you angry tonight?
No, I'm depressed. I'm depressed because Vanderbilt was much better than LSU. And, everybody says, well, they only lost by 7 points. And like you alluded to, it was much worse than that. It was much worse than that. As a matter of fact, if you take Xavier Thomas's score away, because it was basically it was a great run, and I'm not taking anything away from him.
It was kind of a desperation
pass. Yeah. I think he almost shoved it left-handed.
Yeah, it was lucky.
And then he broke so many tackles right there at the beginning. I mean, that was kind of a fluke touchdown.
Great play, but it was kind of a weird touchdown.
Yeah. So you take that off the board, and then you add the Pavia sliding at the 1 yard line in the last 3 minutes. 2 minutes and 30
non-Pavia
seconds.
was that? How un-Pavia was that?
Yeah, but they would have won by 21 points.
Yeah, for sure.
And
that's almost like a better in your face when you sit down at the 1 yard line, because you're saying, hey, I could have scored, but we're gonna be nice to you guys.
Yeah, it reminded me sort of whenever Les Miles did that to what was that, Ole Miss, or was it? Yeah, I think he did it. Jeff,
you sure he didn't do it on accident?
I think I remember that. Yeah, I think it was against Ole Miss.
Taking a knee with like 5 minutes to play.
Right, 4 minutes. That was they were beating them like 50-7.
Oh, okay. I was thinking.
This was. I think I want to say the last year. Yeah, I think that was the last year of Orgeron, or it had to be, because I think that was kind of the end of it. And LSU, it was pretty. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Well, you would expect them, like Vanderbilt. They've been down for so long. You'd expect them to just go push it in there at the end. But, yeah, they dominated both lines of scrimmage, which is your point, and that really is amazing.
Yeah, and then she said that, and you go, why? Brian Kelly's got his best roster. They spent $18 million. Vanderbilt spent right at 10, according to the best information we can get on their roster. LSU has probably 5-1 in terms of the ratio of NFL caliber players on their roster. How is it that Vanderbilt is better than LSU? How is it that Vanderbilt is that much better than LSU? And how in the world can anybody be optimistic about this weekend against Texas A&M, who I think would throttle Vanderbilt because they're better offensively and defensively than Vanderbilt, in my opinion.
Have you heard from anybody that's optimistic about the A&M game?
Yeah, I mean, everybody. It's in my view, my perspective, it's shifting as the week goes on.
Yeah.
It's becoming more and more of like, well, Texas A&M doesn't win here. You this morning, Texas A&M, falters towards the end, which is all true.
Yeah, that's not really anything. I said that earlier, too, that it would be just like the SEC for that to happen, because that happens a lot. And A&M does have a history of kind of folding at the end. But then when I think of how LSU has played in every game, I just can't see them winning.
And then you add to it the fact that LSU's not going to have Tyree Adams. They scored like in the 30s on their pass blocking as an offensive line. I mean, Texas A&M's got 25 sacks this season.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
That's what they had all last year.
But we've been here before. I mean, if LSU won, I wouldn't be totally shocked.
I will be.
I would be surprised.
I will be.
I would not be shocked. I would not be.
It's just kind of the way football happens sometimes.
Andre, make sure you record this and put it on the shelf because we're going to revisit it.
I think A&M's going to win, but I'm just saying if LSU won, I wouldn't be totally shocked because
I
how
could
football
see,
is.
And I kind of want to see if Whit Weeks plays. I think they desperately missed him. I don't know if it would have made a difference. Probably not.
The guy.
I think that.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
I was going to – let me just finish this point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have a circle the wagons kind of moment. It's a night game in Tiger Stadium, and Texas A&M does what Texas A&M does in late October and November, and they lose a game or, they falter in some way. I would not be surprised if, LSU just figures out how to win a game.
Yeah.
So, but go on to your point on you brought up the point about how is Vanderbilt that much better. And the other thing about it too, Todd, is that Brian Kelly laid out the game plan of what they need to do. I mean, he talked about it extensively with the media on Day of last week and Thursday and all the times that he speaks about playing assignment football. And it was like when the players went out there on Saturday, in particular Harold Perkins, who I think we can just finally – I think it's finally safe to say that this guy had a couple really great games his freshman season, but he's just an okay player. I mean, are we getting to that point of great athlete but not a difference maker on defense?
I'm not there yet because I think the guy has all the talent and skill in the world, and I think he represents – part of the problem with LSU's inability at a coaching staff level to get the stuff they need out of their players in order to do things.
The most out of their players.
Yeah, whether it's discipline, whether it's filling your pass lanes the right way. I mean, Kelly talked about it in his post-game press conference where he talked about how they didn't execute. They still have a chance. Who's they, by the way?
Players.
They's the players and the coaches. Is he not a part of the team? I mean,
I guess the point I was making was that they hammered home the point. They laid out the game plan for everybody to know, and the players then didn't execute it. I'm not saying that's not on the coaches, but
and Vanderbilt's players
it's not like
did
this
execute.
coaching staff is say that.
Vanderbilt's players did execute their game plan. So what does that mean?
Whatever LSU's coaches are trying to tell their players, it's not connecting. It's not. I
agree with you on Perkins, but there may be an NFL coach out there who gets him to play well. It just hasn't happened here. Is it the chicken or the egg? But the bottom line is LSU has enough talent to play much better than they've played this season.
I agree with that, but I'm not going to harp on the Harold Perkins thing because I think it's very easy to make a case against me in this. But He played very well against Clemson. He played really well against Florida at points. He played horrible against Vanderbilt. And it was
Didn't play well at Ole Miss. Didn't play well.
Where was he against Ole Miss?
It might be him. I mean, you don't know.
Well, if it's him, get him out.
Yeah, well, they don't.
Well, who
they
are you
don't
going to put in there?
Well, we just spent $18 million on the portal to fill
would it
everything.
be
We got our
safe
best depth. They got their best depth that they've ever had under Kelly.
Well, I think what we're finding out, the depth isn't very good. There's no competition on the offensive line.
Who backs up Harold Perkins? Does anybody know? I know.
Devon Keys?
No, Jordan Gilbert. And where's he? Well,
he's headed to the transfer portal, or he's redshirting.
Yeah, he's being protected to redshirt so he can go play somewhere else and preserve a year of eligibility. I mean, that's how I took that, along with Ashton Stamps.
Well, Stamps wasn't ever playing this season anyway.
Jordan
was playing.
He didn't
earlier.
play a lot, but he did have snaps, meaningful snaps.
Very few. Not as many as Jordan. Jordan had a good game at Clemson.
So I feel like I'm going all over the place, and I apologize to you guys and everybody else.
Well, there's a lot to say.
You're depressed.
There's a lot
but it's okay. The Saints.
How in the world? Don't talk about the Saints. How in the world?
Men's basketball.
How in the world?
The Pelicans.
How in the world could you possibly look at this game and think that Cassius Howell, a fifth-year edge rusher who has 8 sacks this year, is not going to feast on DJ Chester all game long? How can you possibly not?
Well, what do you guys make out of Brian Kelly defending Weston Davis, saying, hey, I'm going to ride with this guy because I think there's potential there, and he's just going to have to take his beatings at time to time. DJ Chester, a guy that, let's face it, they'd probably rather not play.
He said it's the same reason Harold Perkins didn't come out of the game against Vanderbilt. They don't have anybody else to put in there.
And then there's just no competition anywhere else. I mean, I just don't understand that. And I understand Brian Kelly is not going to sit there and say, you know what, I agree with you guys when he's asked about it by the media. Weston Davis is bad. I see those Pro Football Focus scores. I see him as a turnstile out there just like you do. And, well, but he's going to go out there, and I understand he wants to publicly defend these guys, but it's just I go back to Whit Weeks' freshman season. Like, he would barely want to play Whit Weeks his freshman year.
Yeah, I know, but
and the same with, at that time, Perkins, who, they were slow to bring him around too.
But you say he agreed with when posed the question at his weekly press conference on Monday. He agreed with the former LSU players who have been criticizing that offensive line for a lack of physicality, and he basically ended up saying, we got to go with the 5 we got, and we just got to try to be more physical. And so who's that? This is the same guy who 6 weeks ago was talking about how great of a mauling offensive line this was going to be, and he knew offensive lines.
He said they were mauling?
Yeah.
I remember him saying he was bullish on the line.
He's bullish, and they were going to.
Which is just supportive of him no matter what.
Go back, and there's going to be mauling in it. You're going to hear him talking about being able to be mauling.
It doesn't matter what he says.
I know it doesn't. That's another point, right?
I know, but
part of
you keep harping on what he says.
Well,
the team's not playing well. Doesn't matter what he says.
All right. We'll talk more about Brian Kelly and his predicament and how LSU can potentially, as a program, dig themselves out of, or at least stop this spiraling downward trajectory that it seems like the program is heading. We'll get into that a little bit when we come back here on Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealer Studio.
Chevy trucks have you covered when the road takes you from smooth sailing to Chevy Colorado will eat up some of the toughest terrains with 5 available drive modes. And Silverado and Silverado HD have the muscle to take you out for some serious. With multiple engine options and impressive towing, while Silverado EV is the perfect combo of performance and capability. Nice. Making it a snap to hitch up this electric truck and hit the road. Wherever the road leads, Chevy trucks are right there with you. See your Super Chevy dealers today.
How you doing? This is Snoop Dogg.
Tiger Rag Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you are tuned in.
Talk LSU sports, interviews, opinions, and your calls around the Tiger Nation.
Baton Rouge was a life for me. Home with LSU Tigers.
Now more Tiger Rag Radio.
Hey, we love to score and get highlights and championships. We play to win.
Tiger Rag Radio.
Back here on Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealers Studio, Jeff Palermo along with Todd Horne, Glenn Guilbeau from Tiger Rag Magazine. So all of a sudden, Brian Kelly is on the hot seat. And I know I talked with you about this earlier today, Glenn, and you've actually done several interviews. It seems like people like to talk with you. What did you do? Are you the executor? Is that what you are, Glenn?
Yeah, they want to talk to me when things are going bad. It was the same thing with Feinbaum. He would always call me when Les was doing poorly. They don't call me when things are going well, so I'm not sure.
But I mean, people are saying, "Hey, it's time. It's year 4. He's no closer to winning a national championship or competing for an SEC championship than he was, say, in 2023." And they're just the progress hasn't been there. We still have to see how this season plays out. They may still finish. It's a possible they can finish as 9-3. I don't think they're going to run the table. I don't see that happening. But 8-4,
possible.
what happens?
It's possible.
It's possible. What if they finish 8-4, 7-5, $53 million? Where does that come from? Where's the next $40 million that they need on top of that to hire the next staff and pay for the next group of transfer portal players? Where does all this money come from?
You know, that's a good point, and I'm going to let Glenn talk since you were addressing him. But they're already, before all this started falling apart, they were already projecting an $8 million loss this year in that athletic department. That for this year.
Could I also ask you another question? How does a new president that could be named in the next couple of weeks, how does that play into all this?
I know. I was talking about that, asking that same question earlier, and I don't know how he plays in. I mean, he's coming in almost
or
with
she,
or she, with a almost an unenviable task for sure, if not an impossible one. I mean, Glenn and I were talking about it earlier, and I even talked about it on Talk Louisiana earlier this week. The only chance I think they have of getting any donor money next year is if they do have a new coach. Because I don't think even if they finish 7-5 and he survives that, which he probably will at 7-5 because they don't.
Think?
Yeah, I don't think it's the right thing to do, but I think he probably will because I think they'll make Sloan the scapegoat, Sloan and Davis the scapegoat, and buy him another year. But I still don't think he's going to be able to be nearly as successful, if successful at all, in raising money like he did last year.
Yeah, I think it might be similar to what they did with Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, also hired by Scott Woodward, who's the greatest AD ever because he hires such great coaches in every sport but football. But that's another story, and that's in my column at TigerRag.com. You can read that. But they were just kind of like, okay, well let's let Jimbo stay one more year. We'll cut some of the buyout, and then we'll get ready to hire a coach next year. That's what kind of happened. That's what kind of happened. So they could kind of strategically do that. Okay, let's give them this one more year, and then we'll get our ducks in a row. But it's just such a hard situation now because like Todd, you said, the donors are going to be less. They're going to be reluctant to give a lot of money for the portal if Kelly comes back. Okay, all right, so you get rid of Kelly and you pay all this money for a new coach and a new staff, and the donors are going to give more money, but the net money might be about the same, because you spent so much on the staff. So, and in one scenario, Jeff, is you bring Kelly back, but he clearly knows he's in trouble, like Jimbo did going into that last year, and he gets to change coordinators, like Jimbo did. He brought in Bobby Petrino. So I would think Kelly should bring in a new offensive line coach and a new offensive coordinator, and then you see what happens. But once it starts going down like this, man, Steve Spurrier once said that it's hard to reverse it. You're just kind of prolonging your agony. So one scenario is pay all the money now.
Yeah, and I think there will probably be some that will remember 2015 when Les Miles was on life support as far as being the head coach at LSU. The decision was made to bring him back.
That was a miracle.
In the 11th hour.
Right.
And then by the end of September, or it was after 4 games, wherever that 4th game was, he was no longer the head coach.
That was an amazing story there because all the fans were wanting Les Miles to be fired at the end of that 2015 season. But somehow their hate of Joe Oliva superseded their desire to want Les Miles fired. They turned Les into a hero and Joe into the devil, and he got more time. And then he failed. So I can't see, the same thing happening with Coach Kelly.
Hey, we're going to take a break, and then we'll bring in our first guest of the night. That's going to be Derry Beckwith, former LSU Tiger, who was coached by Les Miles. He was a part of that 2007 National Championship team. We'll also get you a scouting report on the third-ranked and undefeated Aggies, Olin Buchanan from TexAgs.com. Find it interesting that LSU's playing Texas A&M considering all the circumstances that are going on right now with LSU because A&M is a success story. Pay out the huge buyout, and then all of a sudden 2 years later you're almost on the top of the college football world.
A&M has not won in Baton Rouge since 1994.
Wow. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back after this here on Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealers studio.
Summer months are in the year view mirror. Let's enjoy fall and have a fun time doing it with your East Baton Rouge Parish Library. The 12th annual Baton Rouge Maker Fair will feature movie magic on October 18th. And go back in time with the library on October 25th with Talking About a Revolution, an all-day patriotic event. Have fun with all of the library's silly, spooky programs for adults, teens, and kids. Visit ebrpl.com for more details.
Tiger Rag Radio.
The details do matter. Every step, every hand on the ground, every route, everything that we do has a purpose. We are really focused and our attention to detail is going to be unmatched.
Back here on Tiger Rag Radio, Jeff Palermo along with Glenn Guilbeau and Todd Horne. We are broadcasting from the Super Chevy Dealer studio. We bring in our first guest of the night, former Parkview Baptist star, former LSU Tiger national champion, Derry Beckwith. He joins us on Tiger Rag Radio. Derry, how you doing tonight? Do we got Derry?
Says we have Derry. Waiting on him still. He's on the call.
He is on a call. All right. So Derry, can you hear us?
I think that means he's on another call.
Oh, he's on the another call. Oh, okay.
No, he's supposed to be with us here. I don't know here.
I'm here.
Yeah.
We got
him. Right.
Hey, Derry. Thanks for joining us.
I was you guys forget about me, you know? No, I'm ready to rock and roll.
We can't forget about you, man.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you this right off the bat, since there's been a lot of talk about the physicality of the team, and there's former players have talked about the team not being soft. In fact, you were one of the first that I heard. We go all the way back to week 2. I think we had you on, Derry, and we asked you about the offensive line, and you questioned the want to of that offensive line to really dominate their opponent. How much does this program miss a guy like Tommy Moffitt?
Well, Tommy Moffitt instilled a toughness, and to be fair, I think back when we were coming through with the strength and conditioning program, a lot of things were not scientific. A lot of things was about heart and grit, and how far we can push you to get you to that limit, how far we can push you to make you strong mentally, how far we can push you to make you strong physically. I'm a firm believer in progressing. I'm a firm believer and innovation and doing new things and trying new things. But I'm also a firm believer in the foundation and the core value of things. And so I think sometimes with strength and conditioning, we can get so scientific, we can get so technical that the toughness part, the resilience part gets left out.
That's a great
And
point.
that's what Tommy Moffitt brought to this program, the 110s, to push you to the limit. Guys, we used to have to run 110s on a Monday after the weekend. So basically in the summertime, you never enjoyed yourself because once you got to Friday, you was thinking about Monday, go out there and run a 110-yard sprint. So it was one of those things that we built a callus in our minds mentally, and so we went out and performed on Saturdays. We didn't win every game, but I guarantee you it's going to be a dogfight, and no one ever questioned if we were physical, and no one ever questioned if we were tough. Now, you can question X's and O's. You can question if I missed a tackle. You can question if I didn't go out the running back out the backfield, but you never question toughness. So I think now with the science involved in sports, it's missing a little bit. And you see the teams that's dominating. I'm watching A&M with Tommy Moffitt, strength coach. They are physical. They are mean. They are nasty. I'm watching even teams like Georgia where they were saying, okay, they took a step back, but they're still physical. All these teams that's competing for playoffs have this physical mindset because they're putting a little bit of science into it, but also the fact to be mentally tough is greater than the scientific portion of strength and conditioning. And look, I'm not in the strength program at LSU. I don't know for sure, but I do know they use a lot of technical things to make sure these guys are rested and well equipped, which is good. But also, look, ultimately, it's up to the player. Like, it's up to the player to go out there and produce, have a mindset that I'm going to beat this man one-on-one, and I'm going to dominate this person one-on-one as well.
Derry, is there anything in your mind, given the perceived real physical advantage that this Texas A&M defense has over this weak offensive line of LSU, non-physical offensive line of LSU, injured offensive line of LSU? Is there anything you see?
I think every defense going against the LSU offense is at advantage. I was on Matt Moscona's show earlier today, and he asked, like, as a linebacker, what do you see watching film? What are you looking for? So I'm not looking for anything because there's nothing to look for. Usually, as a linebacker, when I'm watching the old linemen in general, when I used to watch a line on film, I watched how fast and how quickly they worked up to the second level. Okay, how well they combo blocked and worked up to the second level, and when they got to the second level, were they able to turn the defender while in the hole? See, a lot of times, a lot of linebackers, when we take on great old linemen, linemen have the ability. Not only are they physical and athletic, but they have the ability once they attach to us, they can turn us in the hole and make that gap a little bit wider. See, our job as linebackers is to beat you at the point of attack and shrink that hole a little bit where the running back doesn't have room to run. A great old lineman has an innate ability to combo block, get up to the second level, turn us in the hole, make that gap a lot wider. This old lineman can't do that because they're getting beat at the point of attack from the D lineman, so they're unable to work up to that second level. So they're getting dominated by 3 down linemen, which is a shame. And now you add a 4th down lineman, you're definitely going to get beat. So from a defensive standpoint, there's nothing to scheme against because you're going against an offense who doesn't have a scheme. You're going against an offense who doesn't have an identity. You're going against an offense who doesn't have a rhythm. Guys, I'm not watching film. I'm not breaking down film. Them days are long and gone. I'm in insurance business. But when I watch this game on TV, every single time on 2nd and long, they run the football. Okay? Then when they get to 3rd and short, they throw a bubble screen. So it's these books where they have books like Insurance for Dummies, Real Estate for Dummies. This is offense for dummies. This is how insane this offense really is. And we can't score on the goal line. We had 3 chances to punch in against Vanderbilt. We couldn't do that. We had 50 yards rushing against the Ole Miss defense, who was last in the SEC in rush defense, and we had 57 yards rushing. So they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again without changing. This is insane. I don't see them getting better because we're in week 7 now. They played 7 games. They haven't shown any room for improvement. Every team that's competing for a championship has improved Ohio State didn't really play well offensively against Texas, but they improved every game. Alabama didn't play well against Florida State. They've improved every week. If you look at those teams, they're showing improvement. LSU offensively hasn't shown an improvement, so what makes me think that they can turn it around? Now, law of large numbers say they got one game in them to produce, but I just don't see it. I hope I'm wrong, though.
Derry, is this a coaching problem?
It's a coaching and a player's problem. It is. Coaching problem from a schematic standpoint to put these guys in the right position to be successful, okay? And coaching standpoint to make sure these guys are mentally tough and have a mental standpoint to think and react. And also from a player standpoint as well. Like, you have to individually look yourself in the mirror and take accountability for yourself and really ask yourself, am I giving 110%? Am I doing the things necessary to prepare for Saturday night? Now, with this NIL era, these guys are distracted with a lot of different other things. They have other things going on. So, for me, I don't know how to deal with that because I'm thinking, man, if I do NIL and then deal with Tim Tebow and Percy Harvin or Dan McFadden or Felix Jones or Noshawn Moreno or Matthew Stafford on Saturday night, how focused would I would have been? So they have to get to the point to not listen to guys like me, okay, not listen to guys in the media, because that can be a distraction. Because I was in college, look, sometimes I click tiger dropping. Worst thing ever. Worst decision ever, right?
Yeah.
They got to stay away from what I'm saying. Look themselves in the mirror, hold each other, hold themselves accountable, and be truthful to themselves. We are not the football team we think we are.
Derry, always great getting your perspective on the LSU Tigers. We'll see. They could have, I mentioned it, I don't know if they will, but they could have the circle wagons moment here and win one for the Gipper type of game, and people will feel a lot better about the direction. But still, there's too many red flags out there, that's for sure. Thanks for your time, Derry.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Todd. Have a good one.
All right, that is Derry Beckwith. We got to go to a break because we got to get to our next guest, Olin Buchanan with TexAgs.com. He'll join us when we come back from the Super Chevy Dealer Studio. This is Tiger Rag Radio. Hey, guys, we're back here on Tiger Rag Radio. Jeff Palermo along with the executive editor for Tiger Rag Magazine, Todd Horne, and the editor, Glenn Guilbeau, as we're inside the Super Chevy Dealer Studio. Joining us now here on Tiger Rag Radio, it's Olin Buchanan from TexAgs.com as he gives us a scouting report on the Aggies. Olin, how you doing tonight? Do we got Olin?
He's on.
He's on. Yep.
Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. We're having like this delay here. How you doing, Olin?
I'm doing very well. Thanks, guys.
So there are 11 openings in college football, 11 head coaching openings, 7 of them on the FBS level, or Power 4 level, 7 of them on the Power 4 level, 4 of them mid-majors, the rest of the FBS. And I really feel that some of these moves, and granted, the Billy Napier was eventually going to come, but in particular, I look at the James Franklin firing for sure. Texas A&M is the success story in this. People, when they let go of Jimbo Fisher and said, oh, my gosh, they got to pay this huge buyout. How are they going to survive? And we all understand that there's some deep pockets at Texas A&M, so not every situation is different. But I think there are a lot of movers and shakers in the world of college football that are with these respective programs, and they look at Texas A&M and they say, see, this is what could happen. We could turn this around quickly. Do you get the sense that they're trying to follow the Texas A&M model, a lot of these head coaching moves that we're seeing right now?
Maybe without necessarily meaning to. I mean, if they look at it and said, hey, look, A&M did what had to be done, and it's working out for them. Look, they're number 3 in the country. Mike Elko has been a great hire, and they decided to make a move instead of, be stuck on the in the mire with a mediocrity where they were with Jimbo there at the end. So they look at that and say, look, it's worked at A&M, so why can't it work for us? Maybe they are looking at that and say, hey, that's the way to go.
Olin, this is Todd. What, in your opinion, what is the difference between this Texas A&M team, this coaching staff, Mike Elko, and what was going on under the previous staff?
I can only tell you because I don't get to be that close, right? But I can say what we hear from the players. They say there's a lot more accountability, that there's a lot more attention to detail, and just a lot more organization. I think bringing in Tommy Moffitt has had a huge impact. So they can thank Brian Kelly for that. But I think it's just Mike Elko is just so thorough from what the way the players tell us. And Jimbo didn't do a bad job here. In fact, 4 years in, everybody still loved him. But
he got his contract updated. And
right, and
after 3
it
years,
almost seemed like it almost seemed like he got complacent. He wouldn't fire coaches that were obviously underperforming. Had a guy in charge of recruiting that was incompetent and really didn't do anything about it. And it just felt like that he got his, and now he tell me if you've heard this before. His offense was kind of archaic, and everybody wanted him to get a different offense, and he wouldn't do that. So it was just like this. He was so stubborn.
And he had beaten Saban. He was the first pupil to beat Saban, and it kind of he kind of got content, like you're saying.
It seemed that way,
right?
Now he might say, if you ask him, he might say that's all BS, but that's the way it seemed. But what I can tell you is what the players tell us, and all those things that you said. All that I said, like paying more attention to detail, more accountability, and those things. So I have to believe that's the biggest difference.
Talking to Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com. Olin, A&M has had great starts before, and there's been years when you thought they were going to be really good, and then things didn't end well. Do you think this is the year? It's looking like it could be the year. What's your gut feeling?
Well, you're referring to what we call the November fade. We always say that Texas A&M put the no in November. Turkeys have better months in November than the Aggies have had.
Nice,
but you feel like that. Yeah, you get the feeling that things are a little bit different. They can win in different ways. They've shown this ability to win close games and make the key plays at the clutch moments, which is not really what they've been able to do before. Usually, when they won, it was because they got a fast start and was able to hold on. They had a touchdown pass on nearly the last play of the game to beat Notre Dame. Their defense came up big in the last 2 minutes to deny Auburn. Now, maybe a lot of defenses can do that, but that's the kind of game A&M might have lost in the past, right? So, I'd like to think it is, but again, until they win in Baton Rouge, you don't know exactly how much has changed, because I was there in '94 the last time they won there, and there's been some teams that on paper look like better than what LSU had, and yet Les Miles saved his job against A&M. Ed Orgeron and Max Johnson beat A&M with a pass with like 30 seconds to go. So I think you go into Baton Rouge thinking, well, if things are really different, this is where you're going to find out.
Well, Olin, now you let your son get away from Texas, Quinn, and come to LSU. I think he's a junior or a senior now. He's a senior. Okay. How did that happen? And is he spying for the Aggies?
Well, it was kind of a chain of events. He did some research, found the business school at LSU was ranked in the top 25 in the country, and was really like that. I think that LSU, he had some good grades, and they gave him a pretty decent scholarship, not enough. And then he went over there, and I think he got drunk with some guys and said, "This is the place for me."
That happens a lot.
Olin, could you hang on for another segment here?
Sure, I got nowhere to go.
All right, good stuff. Olin Buchanan from TexAgs.com. We'll continue our conversation with him and continue to get more on the Texas A&M Aggies, the Tigers' opponent, on Saturday night. This is Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealer Studio.
Tiger Rag Radio.
The details do matter. Every step, every hand on the ground, every route, everything that we do has a purpose. We are really focused, and our attention to detail is going to be unmatched.
Back here on Tiger Rag Radio, Jeff Palermo, along with the editor for Tiger Rag Magazine, Glenn Guilbeau, and the executive editor, Todd Horne, from the Super Chevy Dealer Studios. Joining us for another segment here, Olin Buchanan from TexAgs.com. And Olin, I wanted to ask you, last year's win for Texas A&M over LSU, what did that mean for the program? Because it just seems like that was a big, I don't know if confidence builder is the right way to say it, but it seems like the Aggies have had a bit of a swagger since that victory against LSU, that kind of gave them a reason to really believe in what Mike Elko was preaching to the players.
Yeah, maybe that. You know, look, anytime you beat LSU at A&M, it's a good thing, right? But you have to remember that, they beat LSU, but then they lost their next 4 games against Power 4 competition. You know, they lost 3 straight SEC games and then lost the bowl game to USC. I think it showed that they might be on the right track with this guy. They had some injuries late, and, that's not an excuse, but it did affect the team. Le'Veon Moss, a Louisiana kid who's hurt again, but he got hurt, and they just weren't the same without him last year. Now, this year they can absorb that loss a little better because they have some other weapons. I think it kind of gave you the indication that even though things went south in November, like it usually does, that things might be different with Mike Elko. I thought he made a great move. I think it was pretty obvious when he decided to change quarterbacks last year. And, sometimes a coach is very hesitant to take out his starting quarterback, and Mike did it after a big turnover, and the game changed. And I think making a move like that that turned out to be so successful, gives you, I think, gives all the fan base and everybody some confidence in Mike.
Olin, you still got more time for us?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right. We got to hit our top of the hour break, and then we'll go solid with you for about 10 minutes after that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, all right. So more of Olin Buchanan from TexAgs.com as we continue with Tiger Rag Radio. Jacques Doucet from WAFB TV set to join us as well in hour number 2, and Chris Lowe from On3.com. So a lot to get to here as we continue on with Tiger Rag Radio. This is Jeff Palermo along with Todd Horne, Glenn Guilbeau, and Andre Champagne. One more segment here with Olin Buchanan from TexAgs.com after this here on Tiger Rag Radio.
Y'all ready? Yeah. Let's go. Come on.
Tiger Rag Radio is on the air.
Let's crank this thing up.
We're statewide, breaking down the latest happenings with LSU athletics.
This is us.
Hear from the coaches.
Put together a defense that puts us in a position to win the SEC.
The players.
Having fun and we working, baby. That's it, man.
The recruits.
Show some passion and some heart.
And those who cover the Fighting Tigers of LSU and the SEC.
All those things are going to be there, which are important.
It's 2 hours of nonstop LSU talk.
What a privilege. I mean, you get to represent LSU.
Tiger Rag Radio is brought to you by Cummins. Cummins creates power solutions that the world depends on. Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Sunshine Quality Solutions. Super Chevy Dealers. And Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. Get ready to talk Tigers with producer Andre Champagne and our hosts Todd Horne, Jeff Palermo, and Glenn Guilbeau.
3 great players that are better people than they are players.
This is Tiger Rag Radio, live from Super Chevy Dealers Studio.
Hour number 2 of Tiger Rag Radio. Jeff Palermo along with Todd Horne and Glenn Guilbeau from Tiger Rag, along with our producer Andre Champagne. And another segment here, Olin Buchanan from TexAgs.com, as we continue to look ahead to Saturday night's SEC tilts between the Tigers and the Aggies. LSU ranked number 20. A&M is ranked number 3 and they are undefeated on the season. Todd, Glenn, you got a question for Olin?
Yeah, Olin, when you look at the matchups, I mean, obviously you look, I would think, at LSU's offensive line, and you think that Texas A&M's defense is probably going to feast, or think they're going to feast against that offensive line, and feel pretty good about that matchup. I mean, is that correct?
Well, I think A&M would seem to have an advantage there, especially with the injuries going on in that up front for LSU.
So because of that, I think that's pretty much a given. I want to focus on the opposite side. You know, Marcel Reed came in against LSU last year. We talked a little bit about that. Came in the second half and completely just tore LSU up with his dual threat capabilities. But it was primarily his legs, his feet. Mm-hmm. You know, like you said, he went in the next. You know, the A&M lost the next 4 games, but he is completely multi-dimensional now. He is a true dual-threat quarterback. He's passed for like 1,700 yards. He's got 2 great receivers in Mario Craver and KC Concepcion. What has happened with him over the course of the last few months? Is it the offensive coordinator, or is it what's going on? How's he developed into this truly great dual-threat quarterback?
Well, I think he's just matured. You know, I don't think he came into last season even thinking that he was going to play. Connor Wigman was hyped up and as being, you know, the best quarterback here since Johnny Manziel, and he ended up having problems. And the offense wasn't geared for Marcel's skill set. And I think over the off season they worked with the offensive system to say, hey, how can we tailor it better for Marcel? And then Marcel put in all kinds of personal work. He had his own personal quarterbacks coach that he worked with. You know, his dad's a former coach at Tennessee State University, so he always had his dad giving advice and things like that. And then he worked hard with Colin Klein. And I think what you're seeing is Marcel, and by the way, they've really almost surprisingly have this, I don't want to say discouraged, but they don't want him running as much. So they've tried to rein that in. And yet, you know, last week at Arkansas, he had some really crucial runs that were big in that game. But they don't have him running nearly what he was last year. He hasn't been as much involved in the offense. They really like him in the pocket. And so it's almost as if every week he shows a little bit more improvement. As it's not that surprising. It is in his first full year as a starter, and I thought he had his best game as an A&M quarterback last week. Now you can say, yeah, well, a lot of people are going to have their best game against the Arkansas defense, and that's fair. But he made the right reads, and I can remember one play where it was obvious they wanted to take a deep shot, and it just wasn't there. And a couple of weeks ago, he would have thrown it anyway, but he found his secondary receiver, and it ended up being about a 25, 30-yard gain. And I think that's where Marcel's really making progress.
Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com here on Tiger Egg Radio. Speaking of defense, Olin, were you a bit surprised at the Aggies, what Talon Green was able to do against them? I mean, that's a great quarterback, but A&M's defense hadn't been giving up yards and points like that.
No, you know, Notre Dame moved the ball on pretty well too. But, yeah, that caught me by surprise. I thought that Arkansas would score because we've seen them score, 35 points on Ole Miss, and I think they had 31 on Memphis and fumbled deep in Memphis end of the field. Probably should have scored at least 38 in that game. They've had some other games where they put up some numbers. So I thought they would score, but I didn't think it'd be a track meet like it turned into. And, I mean, they were converting on one play. I think it was 4th and 30, 25, and they converted it because Green got away from the pass rush and just outran everybody. I thought they would do a better job of, especially in run defense. Washington had a big game too, and I know that Mike Elko was pissed. He made that very clear. In fact, you know, every week at his press conference, he always gives us, you know, they've named the teams Offensive Player of the Week, Offensive Lineman of the Week, Special Teams, and they didn't even give anybody. They didn't even acknowledge anybody on defense. He
wow.
said nobody earned it, nobody deserved it, and he said we can't win if we keep playing defense like that. So I'm sure that's going to be, a major point of focus all week.
What has Mike Elko said this week about LSU?
Yeah, well, he noted that hasn't won there since '94. He talked about Garrett Nussmeier. A lot of admiration for him. I know Garrett's having a rough time this year as opposed to last year, but he's like, don't sleep on that because he knows what Garrett Nussmeier can do. Very athletic, So he remembers trying to recruit Harold Perkins, so he knows what kind of player that is. So he's saying the things that, and I think he means it. But coaches always say about their opponent how good they really are, and you can't overlook them and any of those things. But yeah, he's very complimentary of Garrett Nussmeier and understanding that A&M has all kinds of problems, in Baton Rouge. He was part of some of those losses over there.
Has he talked at all about any of the other openings like Penn State? And
yeah, he was asked about that Monday, and he bristled and said it was stupid to bring it up. And he actually made comments as 4 weeks ago, people wanted me fired. Now I'm getting hired. I'm like, wait, who wanted you fired 4 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago, you were 4-0, or 3 weeks ago, you were 4-0 and ranked number 6.
Yeah, I always wonder what these coaches read when they quote stories like that. And they also say they don't read anything, but then all of a sudden they bring that up. That's hilarious. But that's
I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, that's a pop. I've heard him to Penn State quite a few times. He's one of those names.
I'm kind of interested in the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M, Colin Klein. You think he would like living in Baton Rouge?
I think anybody that is aspires to be a head coach or is already a head coach, unless they're at Alabama or Texas or hopefully Texas A&M, would want to go to LSU. I remember Barry Switzer one time saying that he thought it was one of the best jobs in the country, even way back then. So yeah, I think Colin Klein would be really interested if LSU called. Jimbo Fisher's available.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't know.
I was thinking more of Colin Klein as an offensive coordinator.
Hey, Olin, go ahead, Olin. Sorry.
I'm just going to say, yeah, look, that's one of the, if it's not the best job in the country, it's got to be in the top 3 or 4, right? I mean, all those football players in Louisiana and your proximity to Texas and Mississippi and Florida, you're the only major, no offense to Lafayette or Louisiana Tech, but the only major program in the state? Heck yeah, that would be.
That's a good point. When you look at the map, Olin, and just forgot about everybody that does well in football, if you just looked at the map and knew where the talent is, LSU should have about 13 national championships, and Alabama should only have about 4 when you really look at it.
Well, yeah, maybe. For a long time, didn't LSU? It seems bizarre now, but LSU underachieved for about 2-3 decades. Right?
Oh, there's no question about it. 6 straight losing seasons, not that long ago in the 90s.
Yeah, but 6 losing seasons in 3 decades is a big difference there.
Yeah, but you wouldn't think that LSU would have 6 straight losing seasons, but it happened. But yeah, they definitely underachieved until Nick Saban got here. There's no question about it.
For 3 decades?
Not for all the 3 decades, but for some large gaps of that. And they had 3 losing seasons in the 80s, and they had a couple in the 70s.
National championship in 59 or
58.
58. Then the next one was 03, right?
Yeah, but in under McClendon in 60, 69 and 70, those were probably 2 of the best teams in the country. And then
I'm not saying they underachieved every year.
Right.
I mean that's a program that you would think would expect to win, even when they're playing 11 games, expect to win 10 games a year. And we've seen since Nick Saban got there what LSU's capable of. You've had 4 different coaches win national championships, right?
Three.
Or maybe three. Well, it seems like four. You win some.
Well, no. If you count 58, it has been 4 different coaches.
Well, no, three since Saban.
Right.
Is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Well. What about Texas A&M? Their last national championship, 1936, correct?
No, it's 39.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Is this an
Olin.
Auburn thing, or is this for
now?
real?
Is that the real reason your son went to LSU was because they hadn't won a national title since '39?
No, I think he wanted to get away from me, but just he always has this line. Say, you know why A&M always it's a big deal? Why they always make a big deal of the ring? Because that's the only kind of ring they can get. And he likes to torment me all the time. But no, he just wanted to get away from me.
Hey, okay, we're running out of time. So give us your prediction on Saturday night.
You know, I'm terrible on predictions, right? But I have to go by what I actually see. I see A&M playing well, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like LSU is having a little trouble, especially offensively. So that streak has to end someday, right? And A&M has ended some streaks this year. So I'm not going to stop by LaBerge and make any bets or anything, or the Golden Nugget, but I'm going to expect A&M to win this game probably by a touchdown.
And that's kind of, in a way, that's how I looked at the Vanderbilt game. And I picked Vanderbilt to win. It was only by 1 point, but I just said this is Vanderbilt's best shot to beat LSU. LSU's vulnerable.
I missed that one.
Yeah. and Vanderbilt. Go ahead, Olin.
Sorry, I didn't mean to keep interrupting you. I just said I missed that one. I took LSU to win that one.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I just thought there were other factors in it too. But so if this is a time, LSU's a wounded, so they'll either come out firing on Saturday night, or it could be there could be only like 15,000 people left in Tiger Stadium as Texas A&M is celebrating a victory at about 10 o'clock on Saturday night. So we'll see how it goes. Appreciate your time, Olin. Thanks for hanging with us through all the different commercial breaks.
Hey, it was fun. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Thanks, Olin. Appreciate it.
Olin Buchanan from TexAgs.com. We're going to get WAFB TV sports director Jacques Doucet when we come back. So stay tuned. More of Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealer Studio.
Chevy trucks have you covered when the road takes you from smooth sailing to Chevy Colorado will eat up some of the toughest terrains with 5 available drive modes. And Silverado and Silverado HD have the muscle to take you out for some serious with multiple engine options and impressive towing. While Silverado EV is the perfect combo of performance and capability, making it a snap to hitch up this electric truck and hit the road. Wherever the road leads, Chevy trucks are right there with you. See your Super Chevy dealers today.
Now more Tiger Rag Radio, live from Super Chevy Dealer Studio.
Glenn Guilbeau and Todd Horne. Let's bring in our next guest, Jacques Doucet from WAFB TV. He is the sports director. Jacques, how you doing tonight?
Jeff, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
So who did we have at players tonight? What was kind of the mood among the players that you had a chance to talk to?
We had Trades Green. We had Tamarcus Cooley. We had the punter, Chadwick. And we had Ahmad Bro. So, just the trying to put the loss behind them, trying to not put too much pressure on themselves, but also understand the urgency that they can't lose the game again. I can't say that there was a ton that we got out of it. I mean, there were good interviews, good kids and everything, but, certainly I think it's a big opportunity for them. I think, one of two things might happen. One, they'll get mad about hearing how bad they are, galvanize as a team, get the home crowd behind them and play a great game and pull off the win, or, will they check out and the crowd turn on them and have an ugly night? I'm not sure what's going to happen, but certainly there were some boo birds in the stadium during the play introductions when they played South Carolina, some boos for Nussmeier and the offense. So it's obviously the most noise, the most unhappy, the most unrest we've had since Brian Kelly became the head coach here.
Jacques, do you think this is like, if they show up and they put forth a good effort, do you think they really have a chance against this A&M team?
I was thinking about it today, and I'm not trying to put purple and gold glasses on. I think it's just kind of a bad spot for Texas A&M. They're undefeated. They're so highly ranked. LSU, everyone has been piling on them. They're not physical. Their head coach is doing a poor job. Their offensive coordinator is doing a poor job. And A&M hasn't won here since Curly Hallman was the head coach in 1994, was the season opener. Granted, there was a large gap between when A&M joined the conference and the last time they played LSU in '95. But LSU's beaten them every time here since they joined the SEC. So, A&M's given up their share of points, but yet LSU's had a really hard time with the dual threat quarterback again this year, and certainly when they put Marcel Reed in the game last year, he changed everything, and A&M boat raced LSU down the stretch in a game in which LSU controlled for about 2.5 quarters. So I think that it'll be a real interesting night. Hopefully the weather doesn't ruin things. Hopefully the rain doesn't come until late, early Sunday morning, and we have a nice night. We've been pretty blessed with the weather so far this year. Haven't had any of the wet stuff, but we'll see what kind of fans show up, and we'll see what the mood is, because there's just a lot of people that are not happy.
What is the extended forecast right now? I hadn't even looked at that.
I think there's a 60 or 70% chance of rain on Saturday. According to my WAFB weather app, it says PM showers on Saturday. So it looks like there's a high chance of rain. But Rabelais just told me he thought it might be sliding back till Sunday. So hopefully that's the case.
So what do you think about Marcel Reed and the fact that he's now developed into being a really good passing quarterback in addition to those legs that he's had?
Well, I've watched a few of their highlights. I can't say I've watched a ton, but certainly I remember last year, one of the big quotes after the game was from Greg Penn III, and said that we didn't prepare for this guy. We didn't get ready for him, and definitely he was a big switch from Connor Wegman, who was really struggling against LSU that night. And from LSU's perspective, you hope that obviously this year it's not a surprise. They're ready for him. And that they can, play better defensively. Certainly, I think Ahmad Bro and a couple of the guys, when I asked what they remembered, I think Trey Des said it for sure. What they remembered from the game last year is that Texas A&M was very physical. Punched LSU in the mouth. That's twice that's happened under Brian Kelly, that they've gone over there and laid an egg. And so, hopefully this time around they're better against Reed, and certainly. Tommy Moffitt, last year I interviewed him, the former LSU strength and conditioning coach. He's not A&M. Last year he played it down. I'm just going to say I text Tommy this week, and he gave me a much different vibe this time around. I think it's going to be a lot different coming into Tiger Stadium this year as opposed to playing in College Station.
Jacques, you knew Tommy Moffitt well when he was at LSU. He had been at LSU a long time. LSU had 2 bad seasons when Kelly came in. Kelly was winning at Notre Dame when he came in. It's not that surprising that he would bring some of his own people in. Did Moffitt understand that, or was he just very upset that he didn't get to stay at LSU? How do you remember that?
Well, I don't want to rewrite history, because in 2021 there were a lot of LSU injuries. There were a lot of, I think Moffitt told me himself, they used to call it Competition Tuesday or something, and he said we started calling it Cap Out Tuesday because we just had a bunch of guys standing on the sideline. I remember hearing that this guy and that guy, they could have waited till the end of the year to have that surgery, but they had it now, and so now they can't play. And I remember a lot of talk about Tommy Moffitt being over the hill and that the game had passed him by and this and that. And certainly I had heard that after 2019, Tommy Moffitt was offered some pretty significant jobs, turned them down because he felt like LSU was always going to take care of him. And then when Coach Kelly came in, turned over everything basically and was out of a job. And I don't even know if they met. And if they did, it was very brief. It wasn't much of a talk. So, I think Tommy did his best to move forward and not take it personally. And he last year said very nice things about Jake Flint and said they were friends and there's no animosity there. But there have been a lot of comments about LSU's lack of physicality and some other things that, all the former players, it's not me, but, a lot of those guys that played for LSU from 2000 to 2021 said that Tommy Moffitt was as instrumental in that golden era of LSU football as anybody, and I think he was Nick Saban's first hire, one of the first hires, if I'm not mistaken. So he played a huge role in LSU's success. There's no doubt.
Jacques, we got to run. Thanks a lot for your time, man. We'll see how it all transpires on Saturday night.
All right, appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
More of Tiger Rag Radio when we come back from the Super Chevy Dealer Studio.
The hot summer months are in the year view mirror. Let's enjoy fall and have a fun time doing it with your East Baton Rouge Parish Library. The 12th annual Baton Rouge Maker Fair will feature movie magic on October 18th. And go back in time with the library on October 25th with Talking About a Revolution, an all-day patriotic event. Have fun with all of the library's silly, spooky programs for adults, teens, and kids. Visit ebrpl.com for more details.
You should call that radio station and let him have it.
Good idea. 1-800-673-5555.
I want to be under the bright lights. I want to be on the Broadway stage.
Tiger Rag Radio is on now.
Back here on Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealers Studio, Jeff Palermo along with Glenn Guilbeau and Todd Horne from Tiger Rag Magazine and Andre Champagne. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Another guest joining us here on Tiger Rag Radio. It's Chris Lowe from On3.com. Chris, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, guys. Good to be with you.
Well, it's good to be with you. 11 head coaching openings, 7 of them on the Power 4 side or on the Power 4 level. What do you make out of all these coaches being fired midway through the season? And I don't think we're done just yet.
Yeah, you stole my thunder. I think we're just getting started. I mean, there's going to be more, and I think there'll be more in the SEC, more at not blue blood type places, but Power 4 type jobs. I just think it's more ADs and money people and donors are probably more jumpy than ever. They want to beat other schools to the punch if they're trying to get a new guy, and I don't understand a lot of it either, why teams want to do it in the middle of the season. I understand you want to wait until after that fourth game when kids can hold on to preserve their year of eligibility, guys who haven't already redshirted. But I think oftentimes it just gets so loud, the climate gets so ugly and so nasty, and money people who give a lot of money are putting so much pressure on these ADs that sometimes it becomes self-preservation for them, and they just go ahead and make the move. And I think we'll probably see more of that before the season ends.
Isn't that what Saban also said this past weekend on College Game Day? Something similar to that. That he feels like it's because of this new NIL era where the donors are contributing. They now feel like they have a voice and they have some authority.
I think they've always had a voice, but probably now they've got much more. Put it this way, a louder one. And if you're pulling up, if you've got Glenn Guilbeau type of money, and you're pulling up millions of dollars for a kid, and the team's not winning, or the guy that's pulling up that money feels like you're not using him correctly, or you're just not. He's not getting a return. I mean, people with that kind of cash, they want a return on their money, and I think you're right. I think what Nick said was right, that those people now feel like they're almost quasi-general managers of the team. And if they're not seeing results on the field, then they want the coach gone. And, I'm not saying in every case, whether it's James Franklin or Billy Napier or any of these guys who've gotten canned, that they should have gotten canned. I mean, it's in Napier's case, he had a lot of opportunity there at Florida to get it right these last few years, and he just hadn't been able to produce a consistent winner. But I do think the frequency and the timing of when some of these guys are let go absolutely has something to do with the advent of NIL and the money that some of these guys are ponying up.
That's interesting what you say, Chris, because the money people who want a return on their investment, let's just say they just dropped a lot of money for the portal players on the team, and then they start losing, and this guy who dropped all that money wants the coach fired. Well, then he's going to have to drop more money to get the coach fired and to hire a new coach, and then the new portal. So those people are spending more and more money. I mean, pretty soon you might see them, at the press conferences maybe. But let me ask you, how do you see this Brian Kelly situation playing out? We're kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but we're putting 2 and 2 together because LSU's schedule is backloaded this season. So how do you see his situation?
I have a better idea after Saturday. I'm actually coming to see you, Guilbeau, so I expect. I expect you to take me. We'll go into New Orleans there, and you can. What's your place there with the char-grilled oysters you like so much?
Drago's.
Okay. Well, I expect you to pick up the tab.
Okay.
This to me is as important a game as Brian's coached in a while, because you can stop the bleeding a little bit. At home, a night game. LSU. That's when you think LSU football, you think Tiger Stadium at night against a top 5 team. You get this done. You preserve. You protect your home turf. It's not gonna. It's not gonna be the end all. They're still gonna make people upset with the fact that they lost to Vandy. But you do stop the bleeding a little bit, Glenn. If you lose this game, though, the flip side, then it has a chance to get real ugly. 2 weeks you go to Bama. You still got a road trip coming up to Oklahoma there at the end of the season. And I think if you had presented anybody there on the Bayou with a prospects of a 7-5 type season before the year, back in July or August, you got a lot of nauseous looks, and you guys,
that's what they have now.
Yeah, but even more so, maybe even a deeper shade of green. You guys are there, you around it every day. I mean, you know what that's going to mean, and then you're Scott Woodward, you're the money people at LSU. Is he the guy? I mean, I don't know that. Again, I think a lot can change, and we've seen a lot change. The winds of change blow pretty swiftly in college football if they can get it done and play better this week. My thing with LSU, and I saw them live that first game, and you were there, Glenn, the Clemson game, and my assessment after one game was, they're going to be really good on defense this year, and for the most part they have been,
except when they play the good teams.
Well, okay, and I understand that's fair criticism. But I knew Nussmeier was hurt, and we talked about that. I didn't know the degree he was hurt with the ab, and then he just got beat to death last week against Vanderbilt. I mean, he took some wicked shots. So offensively, I didn't know where they would be. That's the thing I think if you're an LSU fan, you want to see some semblance of growth offensively as this season goes on.
Chris, what do you think happens with Lane Kiffin? Does he stay there in Oxford?
Yeah, you and about, I don't know, 15,000 Ole Miss fans are asking me that. And I tell you, the Ole Miss fans, and they're like a lot of fan bases. I mean, they've had experience. They've tasted it under him the last few years. I mean, they don't want to even entertain the idea that he might go to Florida. I think that he absolutely will listen. And I think he's right there at the top of their list. That doesn't mean he'll go, because in having spent some time with him last week, he's really grateful for what the Ole Miss experience has done for him. I think he's sort of found himself a little bit there. They've invested a lot of money in football and done some of the things you need to do to win at the level he's won. So it's not like, okay, Ole Miss is inferior, I'm going to this program that is far, far superior. But sometimes coaches want new challenges. They look at blue blood places like a Florida that maybe they haven't done in a while, but it can be done, and you sort of want to get in, at that time and build it back. I mean, look at people forget this, but when Nick came to Alabama, when Nick came to LSU, all of us, I think, would agree that LSU and Alabama are blue bloods, right? When he came to LSU, look at what they'd done the decade prior.
8 losing seasons in 11 years.
Yeah. So he was able to get that sleeping giant back to being what LSU has been now, which he was one of 3 national titles in the last, 2 decades or whatever. Same with Nick in Alabama. Alabama wasn't setting the world on fire. when he got there. So I think coaches in general look at places like that maybe are down, and that's it. It's hard when DeBoer came in. That's a hard situation to come into. The program was up, but when you get to one of those places and they're sort of down and trying to sort of figure their way back up the chain, that's when you want to get them. And I think coaches, not just Lane, but when they look at programs like that, that's sort of what they see.
Chris, you talked about Kalen DeBoer. You just hit on it. What type of turnaround has he had this year alone at Alabama, and how did he manage to do that?
They always had good players. It was never a talent issue. To me, it was just they went into that first game a little bit too loosey-goosey, thinking, all right, we're Alabama. Florida State's not supposed to be that good. And they aren't that good, obviously. And they went for a rude awakening, played poorly, didn't play with a lot of focus. Kalen has not been there long in Tuscaloosa. I think he was taken aback by the backlash, and I think he was embarrassed and upset with how little focus and spirit his team played. And from that point on, I think his staff made sure that his team played with a harder edge, more focused, just play a little bit angrier. And that's the way they played. And they've also gotten a couple really good players back. Two of their best players didn't play the first few weeks. Their running back, Jam Miller, who makes a big difference in their offense. And then probably their best defensive lineman, Tim Keenan, was out against Florida State. He's made a big difference in that defense. I think they've only given up since that loss, the last 5 or 6 games, they've only given up 3 or 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So they really played on that side of the ball a really good football when it counts in the second half of the games. Hey, and the last thing I would say about Bama, probably the most important thing, the quarterback's playing at a Heisman Trophy type level, and Ty Simpson.
Right.
He's making great decisions. He's making throws with people in his face, not throwing the ball to the other team. He's really playing at a high level.
Well, hey, Chris, this should be fascinating to see what happens here. Enjoy your trip over to Baton Rouge. Saturday night should be a very, very interesting night inside Tiger Stadium.
All right, Glenn, go ahead and start picking out the bottles of wine, okay? And I want sort of the best right there at the top, right? The best they have.
Bring your expense account calculator.
All right,
That's
see you guys this weekend.
All right, college football writer for On3.com, national college football writer for On3.com, Chris Lowe. We'll take a break. We're done with the guests, so we'll get into we'll continue breaking down Saturday night's game and just discussing what's going on with the LSU football program when we come back here on Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealer Studio.
Tiger Rag Radio is back on the air, live from Super Chevy Dealer Studio.
Continuing on here with Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealers Studio. Great lineup of guests there.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Glenn Guilbeau, the producer of guests. What stands out with what any of them said? Todd, Glenn, anything comes up?
The biggest thing that Chris Lowe said to me was how Kalen DeBoer was taken aback by what happened in week one and really took sounds like an aggressive approach to turning things around quickly. And then the fact that Ty Simpson has really come into his own, and the dude is really playing. He's the best quarterback I've seen this year.
And he was not supposed to be good this year.
I know.
He was ranked like 14th in the SEC. He was seen as as like a weakness.
Yeah, and that's, again, if LSU can't pull off a miracle this weekend and just rally and have a magic moment or something, I don't see how they're going to beat Alabama's good.
Oh, I think if LSU has this magic moment and they circle the wagons and somehow beat Texas A&M, I think they're still going to lose to Alabama the next week, and they'll still have a tough game against Arkansas and against Oklahoma.
What's going on with Western Kentucky tonight? How are they doing against
Western
Louisiana
Kentucky is beating La Tech 17-7. I know you're a Conference USA insider, Todd, but
well, I just know that Kennesaw State jacked Louisiana Tech, and I think Kennesaw State won 2 games in the last 40 years or something.
Glenn, you've brought the point up a couple times. Is this defense overrated? Because the 2 good offenses they've played, they did not perform very well.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were overrated by me and other people in the media. I think we got wrapped up with how well they played in games against poor teams like Clemson, like Florida. Like South Carolina. And really we kind of made the same mistake early last year because they got off to a early start, good start last year, but they do not seem to be able to stop teams at critical times. And Todd had an argument, a good point about they were on the field too much because of the offense against Ole Miss. But in this game, they were on the field a lot because of themselves. If you keep giving up third downs, you're going to stay on the field. So if you want to cut the number of plays you're on the field, stop somebody. And they couldn't stop Vanderbilt until the fourth quarter, and that's what really hurt them.
And to that point, A.J. Halsey is the leading tackler by a long shot over the last 2 games, and that's the worst thing that you want is your free safety to be the leading tackler.
You need your linebackers to be the leading tackler for sure.
I've come to this conclusion. There are 2 really good players on this team, Trey'Dez Green and A.J. Halsey. And the rest is, and Mansour Delane, 3, excuse me.
And even Mansour blitzed in on a great call, and he got there, and he didn't make the tackle.
That's because he went to the wrong shoulder.
Well, okay. But, you had guys running in the backfield all night from defense, and they forgot that you're supposed to tackle the guy too.
Well, again, okay, three really good players on this team. The rest, blah.
Right. Yeah, Mansour is a first-round pick probably.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. Last segment of the show when we come back here on Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealer Studio.
You should call that radio station and let him have it.
Good idea. 1-800-673-5555.
I want to be under the bright lights. I want to be on the Broadway stage.
Tiger Rag Radio is on now.
Back here on Tiger Rag Radio as we wrap up the show, Jeff Palermo along with Todd Horne, Glenn Guilbeau. I made the comment right before break about there's 3 really good players, and I'll throw Whit Weeks in there. I think he's a good player. But Mansour Delane, A.J. Halsey, Trey'Dez Green, those guys there, in my mind, are stud players, all SEC players.
Jeff, you're forgetting the punter, Grant Chadwick.
And it's that time of the year when they bring the punter to the media section. We're getting to that point of the year, as Jacques Doucet told us. We got to hear from Grant Chadwick today. But is this coaching staff misidentifying talent, or is it a lack of development? Not only when it comes to recruiting high school players, but obviously guys out of the transfer portal?
Well, there's something wrong with the offensive line. We know that for a fact. And if you had $18 million to build a roster, why didn't you identify the fact that you might need to get at least 1 offensive tackle?
Now, they tried. There's guys that they were in the hunt for that signed elsewhere.
I don't recall that. I'm not disputing it. I just don't recall that.
I mean, there were guys like you would hear. Well, he's considering LSU, whoever the player may have been. It was like a list of 5 teams or whatever. But LSU's in the. It didn't come down to like how it was 2 years ago when it was LSU battling Miami and and all that kind of stuff. It didn't get to that. But. Yeah, but I also think, and I don't know, it goes back to what we were saying a little bit earlier about these glowing remarks that Brian Kelly has about Weston Davis and DJ Chester. Does he really believe that, or is he just throwing us some propaganda?
I think that's just building up his players. I mean, just think if he was doing the opposite, people would be jumping on him for that. I mean, he's in a can't-win situation. But,
well, he doesn't have to say anything.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he is asked about those guys. He's been asked about his linemen just about every press conference, and he's answering the question. I think he's just sticking to his players. I mean, and he there's not a lot of other options there. So I mean, I don't know what else he can say. Again, it's not about what he said. It's the fact that he maybe didn't sign a transfer portal offensive tackle. I think they've had the same offensive line coach too long, and I think he made a bad hire at offensive coordinator.
Sure.
And he shouldn't have never let Denbrock go. That's what I wanted to ask Derry Beckwith. Derry had some interesting things to say about that on WAFB over the weekend. That was a huge mistake, hiring a green offensive coordinator like Joe Sloan to try to replace Mike Denbrock.
Sure would be great to have Lance Hurd on the LSU's offensive line right now.
Would he be starting to tackle?
Both of them.
He would be starting at left and right tackle.
Right.
Must have good lateral movement.
Well, guys, Saturday will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the mood is like. If this gets ugly, the reaction. If they win, the euphoria of the fans, because you're.
No, they'll be saying, "Why didn't you do this against Ole Miss?" That's what they'll be saying.
If you win this game, you look at it and say, "Wait, well, maybe they could beat Alabama. They beat Oklahoma, and they're right there." But I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't seem.
You sound like a Cub fan to me.
I don't know about that, but it goes back to there's just way too many red flags out there. There's way too many things that just don't look right about this football program. So. All right, guys, keep up the good work over at TigerRag.com. Some outstanding columns by Glenn and Todd, putting their perspective on what's going on. Andre doing a lot of great player profiles and other great stories as well. So check it out, the latest when it comes to LSU sports. Andre Champagne, our producer, Todd Horne, Glenn Guilbeau, I'm Jeff Palermo. That does it for another edition of Tiger Rag Radio from the Super Chevy Dealer Studios. Have a great night, everyone.
Tiger Rag is everywhere. Online at TigerRag.com. Like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/TigerRag Magazine. Or follow us on Twitter at Tiger_Rag.